Have you ever spent hundreds of hours working on a game, pouring your heart and soul into it, polishing, programming, testing, and after all that thinking, this game is the most boring game I've ever made? Yeah, I've had that happen to me way too many times to count. Time after time, I find myself creating projects that are just so boring to play and boring to work on. But why is that? Well, the answer is quite simple. It all comes down to prototyping your games. It's seeing if your game is fun before you even start actually developing it. And I know that's the most obvious thing, but if you're like me, I forget about it every time I start a new project. So today I'm going to talk about my latest project, Blizzard Blowout 64, and how prototyping has made my game dev way faster and so much more fun. So without further ado, let's get started. A little over a year ago, I created a winter Nintendo 64 inspired downhill arcade platformer. Yeah, that's a long title. And I created it for the Great Winter Game Jam in January of 2020. Now, this game was inspired by Super Mario 64, Sonic Adventure, the old Mario Party games, and of course, the OG Super Monkey Ball. The jam was quite simple. We only had 3 weeks to create a game, and it had to be winter themed. And at the end of the jam, I have to say, I was really happy with how the project turned out. And if you haven't seen the previous video on how I made Blizzard Blowout in the first place, make sure to check that out. But in summary, you're a snowman in a bubble, you have to roll around in platforms and make some sweet jumps, and the goal is to knock presents off the map. I made a bunch of stages for it, I even made 3 unlockable characters, and I wrote the music, and the music is a banger. Now, the game was so much fun to work on, but one of the coolest parts of it is that a lot of people picked it up and made videos on it. The game got a ton of views and a ton of plays, and also we have an awesome speedrunning community. If you haven't checked it out, you should. See if you can beat my time, you probably can. But anywho, after the game jam was over, I just was super proud of this game that I made. I made it in 3 weeks, and it was more fun and more enjoyable to work on and to play than most of the games I had spent years developing. Now here's one of the biggest strengths for game jams. They push you to think outside the box and to create new prototypes of games fast. Sometimes your game turns out great and sometimes it doesn't. But either way, you know if it's good or bad and whether you should continue to work on the game or not. And the best part of it is game jams are fun and they push you and you learn from it, but then you can come back in a couple months and have a viable product. You could have a game that people actually still want, or you can find out that that game you were thinking about making, maybe people don't want to play that, and you can save yourself the heartache by not creating it. And this is what I did a couple of months ago. I went back and I played some of my older game jam submissions, and I just found that people still love Blizzard Blowout 64, and that's when I had the brilliant idea of, why don't I just take this game that people already love and make a full version of it? And I know that sounds stupid obvious, but it never dawned on me before that I could use my game jams as prototypes for testing to see if the game was fun or not. So I really want to encourage you, if you're starting a big project, prototype it. Make sure it's fun before you get too caught up in the artwork and all the other details, because nice looking graphics and good polish isn't going to save a game that's just boring. Now, we decided that it was time to officially announce that Blizzard Blowout 64 is currently under development for a full release. We're not only planning to release this game on Steam, but we're hoping to also release it on the Nintendo Switch as well, because that's ultimately my dream, is to have a game on the Switch. And for us, we've actually been working on Blizzard Blowout for the last 2 months, and development has been so fast because of it. So I want to talk about the roadmap of what this game is going to be and show some of the updates that we've made already. One of the things that Blizzard Blowout needs more of is levels. Right now it only has 16 levels, and if you are really good, you can beat the game in 3 minutes. So currently the plan is to make between 100 to 200 levels. Now not only are we planning to make more levels, but we're actually planning a story mode for the game. And I'll be making a future devlog just dedicated to the process of us creating this story. And what's cool about this mode is we're actually going to have a hub world Mario 64 inspired area where you can roam around between levels, and maybe there's some secrets to unlock. And of course, you can't have a story without characters, and there's a lot of new amazing characters coming to BB64. Our very own concept artist Bonzo has been making sketches for this game, and they are so good. Can we just get a round of applause in the comments for Bonzo right now? Once we make all these levels and finish up the story mode, there's some other features that we want to add if possible, but we're not committing to them yet just because you don't want to get caught up in scope creep. Now, some of you may be asking, what about Dewdrop Dynasty? Don't worry, it's not canceled, it's just on pause. It has been on pause for a couple of months now, and that's because I'm struggling to finish the game by myself. Blizzard Blowout is one of the first games that I've actually had all the Fear team members work on, and we're developing systems on how to work together as a team. And if this is successful, then I'm going to apply what we've learned to Dewdrop and make it even better and finish it. Now, if you want to stay up to date for the latest news on the game, I've been posting screenshots of 3D models and gameplay on my Twitter account, so make sure to check it out. That's Goodgis with 3 O's, because somebody took the one with 2. And also, if you want to play the game early, just join our Patreon, as I'll be releasing builds throughout the development process. So just remember, always prototype your projects first and let other people give you feedback before you dive too deep, because it's a huge headache if you don't. If you have any questions or thoughts about prototyping, or maybe some ideas for Blizzard Blowout, let me know down in the comments down below. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the project. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Luke the Duke, Heath Sargent, James Albert, Skides, and Rybread, and the rest of the fantastic Patreon supporters. I really appreciate all of you guys, and you make these videos possible. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more Blizzard Blowout content here soon, so I'll see you next time for another game dev adventure.